October 15th, 2025. As a preliminary matter, this is Woody Knight, Chair of the Newbury Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members in person anticipated on the agenda are present. Can you hear me? Planning Board members, when I call your name, respond in the affirmative. Peter Pecos.
Yes, sir.
Larry Murphy. Scott Kinter, but he'll be joining us soon, I'm sure. And Steve Banjim.
Yes.
Yes, very good. And town staff, when I call your name, Kristen Grubbs.
Yes, hello.
We don't have Sadie with us tonight.
I think she's joining shortly.
Okay,
She's running a
Sadie
little late.
Woodward will be joining us shortly. Good evening. October 15th, 2025, open meeting of the Newbury Planning Board is being conducted remotely consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends the governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law GLC 30A 20 until June 30th, 2027. For this meeting, the Newbury Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom, as posted on the Planning Board's agenda, which can be found at the town's website. You may join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering meeting ID number 832-714-1056, and the passcode is 108790, or by calling in 1929-205-6099 US and entering the meeting ID number and passcode when prompted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference. The meeting is also being broadcast live through local access cable channel 9 and on Zoom and at https://newburytv.wixsite.com/tnctv. And the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Meeting business ground rules. Before we turn the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure that there's accurate meeting minutes. As chair, I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After speakers conclude their remarks, I'll go down the list of board members, inviting each one by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. For all attendees, except board members and staff, please remember to mute your audio. When you're not speaking on Zoom, there's a mute button. And on the phone, use *6 to toggle to mute and *6 to unmute. There will also be an opportunity for public comment and questions during the public hearing. After board members have spoken, I will afford the public an opportunity to comment and or ask questions. I will see questions and comments through the Zoom raised hand function. Video conference participants, to raise your hand, hover over the bottom of the Zoom window below the photo gallery and click on the image of a hand that appears. Please ensure that your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participant list. Telephone participants, to raise your hand in a Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your telephone keypad. I will allow questions and comments from members of the public who have raised their hands in the order in which they have listed, which is determined by the order in which people click on the raise hand function. Each participant will be called on to provide his or her name and address and then may ask questions or make a comment. Please do your best to keep your comments at 3 minutes or less. Your hand will be lowered when you have been given the floor for your questions or comments. I will afford the applicant and or his or her representative the opportunity to reply. I will then continue down the list of those in the raised hand column and again afford the applicant or representative an opportunity to speak. Should there be a written submittal of questions of concerns, they will be noted for the record. The applicant will be afforded the opportunity to speak if the issues raised have not yet been addressed. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Okay, first thing on the agenda tonight, our planners report. Kristen, the floor is yours.
Hi, Let's see. I have to get used to doing this first. We've been doing a lot of work on the projects. Those are going well. There are a number of informational webinars and other notices about upcoming grants. One of the ones I wanted to mention was that the town of Newbury, some of you may know there's a program called Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness, MVP program, which is run by the state, started a number of years ago. And the first round of planning for the MVP program, Newbury was one of the early towns to do MVP, the initial MVP planning. I think we did that project in 2018. So now the state has rolled out what they're calling MVP 2.0, and Newbury is actually being requested to do that municipal vulnerability planning project starting this winter. So there's informational webinar for the towns that essentially the towns that did MVP 1 the longest to go are now in the first round of towns who are being asked to do MVP 2.0. There are towns who completed MVP 2.0 last year. Newburyport is in the middle of MVP 2.0, so we'll have some towns to learn from, but it is a sort of 5-year planning project looking at climate resiliency and other municipal vulnerabilities to climate impacts and weather impacts. So it's similar to the hazard mitigation planning, but a different sort of more outreach and engagement focused planning project. So I just wanted to flag that because it wasn't really on my radar until recently that Newbury is being asked to complete that later this fiscal year. So I'll just keep you posted on that. And then I just wanted to ask, Sadie was able to attend a training workshop today, and I didn't know if you wanted to share a little about that.
So yeah, I attended the Mass Street Design Leadership Training, and I think it's hosted by Kittleson and Associates, and in partnership with MVPC, and I have a personal interest in transportation planning, that I don't know too much about it, so it was a really good workshop. A lot of people like myself new to the field, which was great to connect. And so a lot of the things we talked about were trying to balance all the needs of different users that use our streets, and it seemed to be a bit of like an urban focus, but I think that they will dive into more of the rural, the issues that rural towns face with their streets. So it's a 3-session training. So today was the first session, and yeah, we talked about how land use affects the use of streets, and yeah, it was really cool workshop. So yeah,
awesome, thank you. And I think I know there's another member of the town staff who was hoping to attend from the Public Works Department. So I don't know if he was able to attend today, but it's certainly a partnership between planning and Public Works, thinking about how streets that need to be maintained and kept up, and safe, and all the things that Public Works regularly does for community, but also thinking about ways that they can be safe for, as Sadie said, all users. So something I'm still learning a lot about too. So that's our planners report. Thanks, Woody.
Okay, that's all you got? Thank you. Sounds interesting, and welcome Sadie, and welcome Scott. Okay, next item on the agenda. We have an appearance submission from 55R Pearson Drive, submission of Form A and plan for approved, not required Newbury Assessors Map R20-0-75, owner Cricket Lane LLC, applicant Walter Erickson, manager, conveyance of backland, which is the open space. Welcome, Walter Erickson.
Thank
Have you
you.
here? Yep. Would you like to explain the purpose of the A&R plan and why it's being submitted?
Sure.
Thank
So
you.
we're developing that 40B project off of Pearson Drive. It's a cluster subdivision of 24 single-family homes. There's a portion of the entire site was approximately 16.5 acres. And the back parcel was about 4.5 acres that we wanted to save as open space. And Fish and Game Department has agreed to accept the land and combine it with the Martin Burns Wildlife Area. So this Form A plan will just lop off that back 4.5 acres, and then we'll submit it to Fish and Game for their review and acceptance to combine it with the existing open space that's there.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone from the planning board have any questions? Pete, Larry, Scott, or Steve?
I have none.
No questions. Okay. I don't have any questions either. Kristen, do you have anything to add to this or no?
No, I'm happy to share it if you'd like to. I offered to do that for Walter, but as he said, it's pretty straightforward. It's the back parcel behind a number of the homes on Pearson Drive, and Sadie and I have reviewed the plan, and there have been several iterations of edits, and it's exciting to add to the conservation area for Martin Burns. So I think it's a pretty straightforward request.
Okay. Very good, and it's good to go. So I'd entertain a motion to endorse the A&R plan entitled The Village at Cricket Lane Plan of Land surveyed by Ranger Engineering Group Incorporated for Cricket Lane LLC.
So move.
Thank you, Scott. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Roll call vote. Peter,
Yes, sir.
Larry,
Yes.
Steve,
Aye.
Scott,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. All right, thank you, Mr. Erickson.
Thank you very much.
You're good to go. That brings us to 7:13. Has everyone gonna jump ahead here for a quick sec? Has everyone had the opportunity to review the planning board meeting minutes for October 1st, 2025?
I have.
Seeing some nods. Yes, Larry, thank you. Scott, thank you. Are there any revisions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes for October 1st, 2025.
So move.
Thank you, Pete. And second, Larry, thank you. Roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and Steve.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that gets our meeting minutes approved. Thank you very much. And now we're on the verge of 7:15 here. It's 7:15. We have a public hearing. It's a continuance for 100 High Road. Definitive subdivision. Application for a 2-lot subdivision at 100 High Road, assesses map R34, lot 21. Property owner 100 High Road LLC. Applicant representative is Thomas Nevey. And on that note, I'm recused, and I will turn that over to Pete.
Thanks, Woody. Welcome, Tom, and good to see you here again this evening. Tom, is there anything additional that you would like to present to the board this evening?
No, not at all.
Okay, thanks. Kristen, do we have any board about?
Pete, you blipped out for a minute there, but were you asking me if I had anything to add?
Yes, and I apologize for my glitches.
That's okay. I just want to make sure I knew the question. So the board, reviewed the final draft at the last meeting. I also, pursuant to that discussion, met with town council. She reviewed the decision in addition to the other legal documents related to the subdivision approval, and everything has been approved. She had a couple minor edits, really nothing substantive at all, but Tom and I had some back and forth to just clean everything up and finalize, and we have shared agreement that the decision is in a good form to be approved tonight. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks, Kristen. Do the board members have any questions? Larry, do you have any questions?
Not on the, I have a comment on the homeowners trust, but I have no question about the decision, no.
Okay, thanks. Do you want to articulate your comment on the
Sure.
trust?
I'm working with just a couple of typos, unless they've been corrected since, but this is the declaration of trust, the Cypress Hollow Homeowners Trust. If you go to page 4, under termination and amendments, the third paragraph, there in 2 places it uses the term capital LOY1. I assume that was meant to read lot 1A. So someone, again, I'm working off a marked up copy here, so maybe it's been corrected. And in the notary attestation, there was also the year, there was a typo on the year. It says 2-25 instead of 2025. But otherwise, that's all I had.
Great, thank you, Larry. Steve, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Scott, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, that being the case, I would entertain a motion to approve the definitive subdivision for 100 High Road.
So moved.
Thank you, Scott,
Second.
and thank you, Steve, for a second. Roll call vote. Larry?
Yes.
Thank you. Steve?
Yes.
Thank you. Scott?
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes as well. You're all set, Tom. Thanks very much, and I'm going to turn this back over to Woody.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Tom, for your participation through the process, and good luck with your project.
Well, thank you, Woody. If I just could make a comment, it's been a wonderful experience. It's been extremely detailed, and I commend Kristen, and your board is lucky to have her. She's very conscientious and thorough, and it's been a pleasure to work with her. So I appreciate all of her efforts, and I appreciate the attention the board has given this. And enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, thank you, Tom. Have a good night. Okay, that brings us to our next public hearing. It's a continuance for 34 Central Street, Level 2 Site Plan Review. Application for Newbury Heights, a 44-unit multifamily development in the Newbury zoning bylaw section 97-4G MBTA communities. Multifamily overlay district at 34 Central Street, assessors map R19-0-19, owner Melody and Robert Pritchard. Applicant Massachusetts Housing Opportunities Corporation, LLC. I'd like to welcome applicants Mike Ives and Jerry Welch, attorney Mark Bobrowski, engineer Christian Smith from Beal Associates, and any others that may be here for this matter this evening. And I'd also like to welcome town council attorney Jay Tellerman. do we have Mark? Yes, Mark.
Good evening,
Um,
Mr. Chairman.
Good evening. Would you like to give us an update?
Yes, thank you. Mark Bobrowski for MHOC. My office is in Concord. And I'm hoping that tonight we can put this in motion as we head down the road. The first thing I have to announce is that Christian's unable to be here tonight. He's had some minor medical matter taken care of today, and he's out of the mix. Jerry Welch is here to, I think, guide you through the material that you've received. And if Kristen and Jerry can collaborate on what exactly he needs to be put up on the screen, I'll let them talk that through.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
You know, while they're doing that, I would also indicate that we have no other formal presentation to give you this evening. We are prepared to address several comments that Mr. Sirwatka made with regard to the last items in his review list. And we'll deal with that when the time comes, if the board thinks that that's important.
Okay. Does Jay Tellerman, do we have any updates from you?
No updates on plans. I know that we received a submittal, and then there's been some additional information that we requested that I believe the applicant is working on. Kristen probably has a better handle than I do on that, but things like we needed a more complete auto turn analysis that would show the secondary access. And then we did receive some comments and a report from Joe, and I think Kristen can help with that as well. Other than that, I've been focused on some of the procedural elements and how we get from here to a decision. It appears that we have a little bit of a template to do that, in that the applicant has agreed to allow us until November 20th to file a decision, which allows us, I think, maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to review a draft that I'll work on with Kristen.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jay. Kristen, do you have anything before I turn to the board?
I mean, I wonder, yeah, so just to repeat what's been said, the applicant revised the plans on October 8th. Those have been posted on the website, are available for everyone. We also, since the last meeting, received a comment letter and response on the architectural materials. And then on October 8th, the applicant submitted a response to the peer review comments from September, Joe Sirwatka's early September comments. So we have the Beal's engineering response to the September comments, and then we also have Joe Sirwatka's peer review of the October 8th materials. So there's been a lot of work happening. I just thank you for everyone involved. Lot to manage. We also have received a public comment, so I can share that when the time's right. But I wonder, instead of me trying to summarize everything, I wonder if it makes sense to either, if Jerry, if you'd like to make any comments about the most important things in your opinion, or maybe Woody, that's a good idea to just kind of go into questions from board members, and then we can respond as needed, if that makes sense.
Jerry, do you have any updates? Anything you want to comment on before I ask the board for questions?
Well, I have reviewed and I've gone back and forth with text messages while Christian had a little medical thing going on today, but I have gone back and forth with him, and I've gone back and forth with Gavin and Sullivan, and they both have addressed all the comments in Joe Sirwatka's list have been addressed, and some of the things should be for example, there's a comment regarding sprinkler water supply lines and some like steps and deck issues that need to maybe be adjusted during construction. So these are the things in residential construction that happen like on site. Coordination between the civil engineer and the architect. The civil engineer lays out the building, the grading and the building get done by the civil engineer, and then the architect adjusts, like, let's say deck stairs. They might be adjusted a little bit to match while we're actually out on site. But this doesn't get done in schematics. It gets done in the final architecture plans that we submit to the building inspector. And the sprinkler lines going into the building, we have to have an engineer do mechanical engineering, plumbing, and fire sprinkler plans. So we have the engineer actually comes up with the final plans to do the sprinkler system. So that's all done during the building the building permit process, where we have to supply, structural, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing plans to the building inspector. So all these things that, in the list are all fine. And it says this should be coordinated between the architect and the civil engineer. Well, that's done during that process.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn to the planning board. Pete, do you have any questions?
I do. And this one, actually, hopefully I won't get too glitchy here. This one has to do with Joe Zawalker's most recent reply to questions. And one of the questions had to do with rock and ledge removal. And the response was that was discussed during one of the public hearings. Now, Jerry, I appreciate you might not have been there for that meeting, and Christian might have made the response, but I just want to define what that response was, or what the anticipated result is. And if you're not able to do that, Jerry, maybe Kristen can refresh for the board what she recalls from the conversation. Are you able to comment on that, Jerry?
Yes, I do. I was there for that meeting.
Okay.
So ledge removal, we didn't hit any ledge, by the way. We took 25, 30 deep hole tests, and we hit a lot of boulders. So of course, we have to do some hammering on the boulders, and there may or may not be some ledge work done. But this is all done. Ledge work has to be done according to guidelines that are used in Massachusetts for ledge. We have to go use these guidelines that OSHA provides, and they're all engineering guidelines that have to be complied with prior to do any blasting. So that is what we would do. We would use the typical guidelines used in construction industry for that process.
Okay, so what I recall was it would be 3 to 5 days of doing moving around rock and material. Then if it exceeded beyond that, you would go into blasting. Is that what I recalled correctly?
If blasting is required, we have to go around and do a survey of all the surrounding properties and make sure that we don't disrupt any properties that are abutting to us. So there's guidelines by the state of Massachusetts in the building code that we have to comply with.
Right. Excellent. So I appreciate that and sympathetic to that. So the option would be blasting, not hammering. That's what I'm hearing from you.
So the large boulders, there are a lot of large boulders there. Those have to be cut, hammered to make them into smaller pieces so that we could run them through a rock crusher operation where we would make our own gravel and our own stone for all the foundations. But it's very typical operation that happens all the time. And there's all guidelines for that we have to comply with.
Right. So what I'm trying to get a handle on is how long crushing would be going on for, because we've had projects where crushing and hammering has gone on a bit longer than what the community would like. So that's where I'm trying to go with this conversation right now.
I can't put a number on it, Pete. I don't know because I don't know how many boulders there are, But obviously, we try to keep it to the minimum amount necessary to just, get the site work done.
All right.
So the guidelines we would comply with, state and local guidelines that we have to comply with to do that operation, we would do. And there's hours of operation. You can only do it during Monday through Friday. It has to be done between 7 a.m. and you have a local bylaw that has guidelines as to noise from that operation.
Can I just amplify that, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, you can, Mark.
So there are, the Board of Fire Prevention has regulations, not guidelines, that are in the Code of Massachusetts regulations. It's 527 CMR 1.00 and following all the way up to CMR 13.15. And you can easily Google this. It covers everything from the use of explosives to transportation of materials, licenses, permits, checklists, inspections, and all other subjects that you might expect when somebody is intent upon blasting. So it will follow those protocols as spelled out in the CMR.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Pete?
Right.
Do you have any other comments or questions?
No. So, Mark, thank you very much, and I appreciate that. I actually personally would be much more of a fan of blasting quicker, cleaner than somebody chipping at rocks for months. That's just kind of where I'm coming from, but that's all I have right now, Woody. Thanks so much.
That's usually what it comes down to. I did a recent project in Saugus, very ledgy location right off of Route 1. And at the end of the day, they were urged to switch to blasting. So, but we had an expert in the subject come, one of the people in the business, and we were actually blasting close to one of the Tenneco lines. You'd be surprised what kind of safety precautions they take in those circumstances.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Pete. Larry, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do, Woody, just briefly. Referring back to Joe Sawatka's October 12th, it sounds like you've had some conversation back and forth with him already, which is good. And the one thing that did catch my eye, though, was on the third page regarding the horizontal road layout information. And he talks about minimum widths and minimum sight distance for vehicles. And I just wonder, can those concerns be met within the existing plan?
Maybe the best thing to do, Mr. Chairman, would be, I'm looking at a text that Christian sent today before he called it a day. And I'll just read, cleaning it up as I go. But he says the horizontal road geometry should not be an issue, as this is a private road and the emergency response vehicles have been shown to be able to maneuver without issue. Furthermore, the fire department has reviewed this and had no problem with the design. That's the wisdom of Christian with regard to that subject.
Well, I assume, okay, thank you. That's all I have, Woody.
Okay, Scott, do you have any questions or comments?
I was very interested in the the blasting. I've personally done a lot of it. Mark, I've done a lot of it on Route 1. I've tangled with those Tennessee gas lines on a couple of occasions, and it's very, very fussy. If you think it's going to take a week or two, it takes 2 or 3 months. That's on the blasting side. Whether you're blasting or you're hammering, rock is rock's very, very difficult. But I would only suggest to the applicant that I've recently heard, on a job in Situate, that they had big boulders. Instead of hammering them, they just drilled them and used expandable grout. And it did an incredible job very, very quickly, really without a lot of noise. And you know, the hammering is terrible. But you might want to consider that, as well as drilling and using air. That's always worked in the past. I mean, if you have, you know, 200 boulders out there the size of, you know, Volkswagens, if they're not really parked or really connected to the bedrock, you might want to consider those. But the bedrock, I'm with Pete. I mean, you know, we don't want this operation, at least the site work and the rock work, you know, to start, and then 6 months later, we're back in a meeting discussing it. We prefer it to be, you know, I'm going to say one and done, but there's certainly going to be more shots if you do intend to blast. But that's, I just would like you to just be open-minded and consider some alternatives.
We're certainly willing to accept a condition that the applicant will explore reasonable alternatives to hammering and blasting. Perhaps town council and I can work on the wording of that.
Okay, very good, Mark. Thank you. Anything else, Scott?
That's it, Woody.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Steve, do you have any comments or questions? Steve,
Just one, unless I missed it, I know Pete raised the question about other wells being within 100 feet of the proposed septic system, and suggested a surveyor confirm where those off-site wells were. I don't recall seeing anything about that in the back and forth literature. But do you know if that's underway or will be done?
do we have any information on that?
Yeah, I'll jump in here a little bit. Christian mentioned that he did look at the surrounding area, and he's pretty sure that there's the wells, the one well we did locate was 103 feet of the property, and he put a well radius on it, and the rest of any abutting properties are way well over the 100 foot is what he mentioned at the last meeting.
I recall that.
Right, I recall that too, but I thought there might be a surveyor confirming it, and that may be the role that Kristen took on as putting on a surveying hat.
Any other questions or comments, Steve?
No.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I was interested in the rock as well. And Pete brought that up, and thank you for your explanation. And to keep the noise at a minimum, alternative solutions to other than hammer and rock would be great. In Jay and Mark, sounds like you guys will be working on maybe a condition for that, and that would be great as well. And then Larry brought up Joe's report, the radius on the road. So because it's a private road, I'm not sure if that works. I know it was on Joe's radar, but if fire and police feel that it's possible with their equipment, then so be it. And other than that, I don't have any questions or comments right now. I'll circle back real quick. Just a shake of the head, or raise your hand if anyone on the planning board has any comments before I turn it over to public comment. Hearing none. Do we have any raised hands, Kristen?
I'll give people a minute, but I don't see anything yet.
Okay. While we wait for a potential raised hand, do we have any written comments?
Yes, Jacob Murray of 15 Parker River Drive submitted some comments by email today, which have been shared with the board as well as with the applicant and posted on the website. He essentially reviewed the back and forth with Beals and peer review with Joe Sirwaka, and had added a couple comments in red on the 6 pages. I could, do you want me to kind of mention what they were, Woody? Or,
Sure, because it came in today.
yeah. So his first comment was that he finds it critical that at the moment the applicant is looking for approval of a site without a properly designed septic system. There's been a lot of back and forth. As we all know, Joe Sirwaka is wearing a Board of Health hat with this review as well, and has expertise in septic design. So I know he and Beals Associates have had a lot of back and forth. So I don't know, Mark or Jerry, if you have any follow-up, more recent follow-up from Christian on this.
I think it's our team's feeling that this matter is something that should be addressed when the application goes into the Board of Health. And Joe will be there, obviously, to guide them. But this is something that I view as Title V questions rather than site plan review questions. I mean, to the extent that the septic system design is going to impact other aspects of the site plan, like stormwater management, then there may need to be adjustments, and we'll deal with that accordingly. But right now, we think that's something that needs to go through the Board of Health.
I think that that's, you know, that's reasonable, and I agree. I would say I feel like the concern of the planning board has been if it is approvable on the site as the units are laid out and the site design is laid out, assuring that the septic design, which is you know, fairly extensive for a development of this size, is approvable at some point. You know,
Yeah.
the devil in the details for sure is not for this planning board to get into, but that's been the concern.
Well, there are various lanes here, and we think that's not planning board's lane as much as it is the Board of Health's lane. So.
So let me comment on that
comment.
just briefly. You know, I do agree that from the technical aspects of the system design that it's more Board of Health, and I think we'd like to understand that the planning board, if it's a go no go issue, Joe nor anyone else has indicated that it's a no-go issue, that the site or the soils or anything else are completely incompatible. I think our condition on that is going to be that no work can start, and obviously until you get a Board of Health approval. And if the Board of Health approval requires changes, then you're going to have to apply for those changes. I mean, that would be pretty standard. But I do think it's an appropriate area of inquiry, but only more from a go, no go kind of, is it even generally suitable? And Joe hasn't indicated, or nor has anyone else, that the site is unsuitable for the septic system. So there's going to be a lot of work, obviously, to do at the Board of Health, because it's not a generic, you know, 4-bedroom house septic system. But so let's hope the applicant has chosen the right site and won't have to come back to us if they have to move it.
We're in agreement with that, Jay. Thank you.
Anything else in the written comment?
Yeah. So Mr. Murray also questioned what we've already talked about related to the roadway layout, and how it's distinct. There's some differences between the town's subdivision regulations, chapter 117, than how the private road is laid out for this project. However, this project is not a subdivision, it's a site plan review. So we've already, I think, talked a little bit about that. Mr. Murray questioned whether review has been completed by the fire department, which is certainly something the board has been interested in. I have had conversations since the October 8th plans came in. And the applicant, as I think has been said, is redoing the fire turning radius. I forget what sheet number, maybe 18 or 18A on the plan set. We're expecting the applicant to submit that fire turning radius for the one-way exit onto Central Court, that and out Central Court onto Central Street. Completing that radius analysis is in the works, and that will be reviewed by the fire department once the town receives it. As well as anything else related to fire code, like sprinklers and that kind of thing.
The only thing about getting the auto turn analysis updated is if we close the hearing tonight, obviously that's going to be a post-permit condition in terms of that review. And I'm assuming the auto turn analysis will check out. If it doesn't, obviously we run into issues that we'll have to work on with the decision on that, but hopefully it checks out.
Yeah, I think the hope is where we are able to get written comments from the fire chief and fire department review. We don't have those yet, but we are waiting on that turning analysis. So there was a comment which Jerry already addressed about the deck stairs and the slope and sort of how the architecture and engineering plans fit together. I think that's reasonable to say there may be some, minor modifications needed on site during construction. And let's see. And we talked about blasting already, which was a comment Mr. Murray made as well. Concern about the neighbors who will be affected by the blasting. So those are all the written comments, and again, that complete submission is on the town website under the public comments.
Right. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Murray, for your written comment. Does anyone on the planning board have any additional questions? We had no raised hands, correct?
No raised hands.
Okay, very good.
I just had a couple other things that I have thought of that the board may want to discuss. Mike and Jerry came in and met with me last week, which I appreciated when the plans were submitted. One of the things they offered was, or we discussed briefly, the affordable units for the project. The applicant has proposed that 4 units, 4 of the 2-bedroom units be affordable. That same night had the opportunity to attend the information session for the Cricket Lane 40B development that's under construction right now, and heard from Walter Erickson, the developer who was on the agenda earlier this evening, as well as the Housing Authority project manager, how much in demand are units of more than 2 bedrooms. 3 and 4 bedroom units are very rare in the sort of affordable lottery market, if you will, and what's available across the state. So I just wanted to share that Mike and Jerry offered the board, if you wanted to consider a different arrangement, whether it's 4 2-bedroom units or something else that could be discussed tonight.
What are your thoughts? Anyone have any thoughts on that?
So
Larry.
Woody, I'll
Go
try.
ahead, Pete.
Yep.
All
You know, I
right.
think having the flexibility to have a 3-bedroom affordable unit would be wonderful. To have the flexibility of having 2-bedroom units are wonderful. And maybe we have 1, 2 twos, and 1 3. I mean, that way we're kind of giving a cross opportunity for all types of units with this type of approach. I don't know if that's something the applicant would consider.
I think that sounds very reasonable. I hope I'm speaking correctly for my client, but that sounds like a perfect compromise.
Jerry, do you?
Yeah,
Wanna
we met, are giving you the option. You can, the planning board, if that's what your wishes are, then we have no problem with that. We can spread the units out as whatever mix you want.
Very good. I agree with what Pete said. It would be nice to have a variety, one bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and a 3-bedroom. So if that's doable, if you guys agree to that, that would be great. If anyone else on the board has any comments on that, please speak up.
Yes, Pete's suggestion would keep the number of bedrooms the same, so that the number of people that could be accommodated would equal out. Sounds good.
Okay.
It also corresponds with kind of the state preferences now to make sure it, you know, this in a slightly different permitting form, but the state is looking for more family units. You know, 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, towns were doing their best to cram it all down to 1 and 2 bedroom units to avoid family units. But I think we're thinking a little differently given the housing shortage these days. So having a smattering of 3-bedroom units definitely serves a bit of a goal in getting a family in there.
Very good. Thank you.
My last,
go right ahead.
category, Woody, is just a water supply. I think this is a similar conversation to septic, but I wanted to just give at the previous planning board hearing, we discussed the interest in receiving something in writing from Byfield Water District about the status of their review and approval of water supply for the project. And I just, I know what was submitted was that the flow test was sufficient, but I didn't know if there was any other update on that topic from the applicant.
Well, the flow test came out great. We have the capacity, the volume, and the pressure is fine in the street, on Central Street. It's an 8-inch pipe. It's as Christian said, it's the biggest pipe in town. So the water department wants us to dig a test hole and investigate the pipe, the condition of the pipe that's out in front of Central Street. So we will do that, and then post permit, we can dig up the street and find out they might want us to replace some of the pipe out in front of our site, but the volume and the pressure is fine right now. We don't know what we'll find when we dig the street up. There might be the pipe might be fine. It might need to be replaced, but we don't know that yet until we go out in the middle of Central Street and dig it up.
We'll be looking to, obviously, we don't know all of the infrastructure concerns regarding the water district, what they may do, nor do we control that. So I think our condition is going to cover pretty much any eventuality with that. And we're going to make it subject to whatever the water district requires in terms of infrastructure or repair, maintenance, design, replacement, any of that stuff. So we just have to make sure that we cover that ground. But pretty standard post-permit condition, I think.
Thank you, Jay. Does any planning board members have any other questions or comments?
Yeah,
Speak
Woody, I do, and I don't
Okay,
mean
go ahead,
to
Larry.
beat a dead horse on this, but going back to the horizontal road layout, I'm satisfied with the answers we received regarding the centerline radius and all of that. But Joe ends by saying, and I'll quote, more importantly, perhaps the minimum sight distance on horizontal curves is 200 feet, which is critical to drivers recognizing hazards in the roadway. The board may want the engineer to address whether sight distance has been addressed and or reviewed by the town's traffic consultant. I don't know, did we get an answer to that point?
If
In other words-
if these are roadways, sight distance is a lot lower than what you would find on a public way. It's making the 85th percentile of speed after observing it for some period of time, and then assigning a distance based on that, and also grade. Those are the two components in sight distance. So you're unlikely to have people whipping through the internal driveway system of condominium or of a townhouse complex.
Yeah, that's my next question. Are you going to have posted speed signs?
If the board wants that as a condition, then we're happy to agree.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone in the planning board? Kristen, any other comments you have? No?
No,
Jay, do you have any comments or any additional comments or questions for Mark or Jerry?
No, Mark and I've stayed in contact about the, where the status is. I think where we're heading now, assuming that there's a closure of the hearing, is that I will work with Kristen to prepare a draft. There's a bunch of conditions. The board's discussed a bunch of them tonight. Obviously, we've already talked at length about the conditions regarding the single access or the two access approach. And, so we're going to have to talk about that during deliberation. I have a good sense where the board wants to be on that based upon where the board, what the board has discussed previously, as well as what Mr. Michaud has presented in terms of his opinion on the attributes of the second access, and then the rest of that is the mechanics. So I think I have a good feel for how to start my drafting here, and I know that Kristen and Sadie are going to help out to fill in some of the details and give me some of the benefit of what the board has done in the past on other projects, so our boilerplate matches up. Other than that, I think it's going to be pretty robust deliberation session the next time we get together on this.
All right, thank you, Jay. So I'll turn to the board again. What are your wishes? If there's no other comments, and if anyone has any comments, please speak up. But otherwise, what are your wishes? Would you like to continue or close this public hearing?
Woody, if I could?
Yes, go right ahead, Pete.
I think it would be appropriate to continue the hearing. We haven't heard back from fire, and I think it's very important that we have their input. I think while we're drafting this decision, I think it's important to keep our ability to continue to have a conversation open. So I would encourage us to continue to have this open until we have our draft all buttoned up. That would be my personal feeling. Thanks.
Yep, and it seems like a reasonable statement, Pete. It does give us the ability to go back and forth about it. And
I think the
we
issue
did-
there is one of timing, though, Woody.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with what Pete is saying one bit. I think there's always common sense in sewing up all of the facts that we can. But we're technically at the end of tonight, I believe, of the time period under your bylaw. The applicant has given an extension to deliver a decision to November 20th, which would give us the time to do some drafting and deliberation. So if you wanted to continue the public hearing, I think the applicant would have to acquiesce to that. So I don't, that would be up to Mark and his client. Otherwise, I would recommend to avoid potential for constructive approval or giving us too little time closure tonight of the hearing, but I think it's somewhat up to the applicant as to where they want to be on this. You know, the more information that's still out there means more conditions and more what ifs in that decision. So it really comes down to the applicant's preference on how they want to deal with that in a way. Otherwise, as counsel, I would recommend that if they're unwilling to continue the public hearing, that we close it, and then we'll just have to deliberate the best we can with the information we have.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So then I'll turn to Mark. Mark and Jerry, would you be willing to continue the public hearing to our next meeting?
Not a month out, no. We were waiting for the fire chief the last meeting, and we don't have anything from him, and it's been 30 days. So that just is, you know, why would I be optimistic that we're going to have something in 30 days? If the board wanted a week to get the fire chief's opinion and they had another meeting scheduled at which they could receive that, I probably would agree with that. But otherwise, this is where we are. This has been very thoroughly examined, and I'm sympathetic to the fact that the fire chief hasn't responded to your satisfaction, but that's not our doing.
But we also don't have all of the information, Mark, right? There's no auto turn analysis yet on the secondary roadway. I mean, in fairness, to round out that issue, I don't want to get argumentative with you, but, and I don't know the fire chief particularly well, but it is true that there's a gap in the information. The plans have a single sheet that shows the secondary access and no auto turn analysis, which is crucial for the fire department's analysis with respect to the secondary access.
It's kind of difficult for me to know how I suppose we could handle that through Dirk instead of Christian. But I don't know Dirk's timetable or Christian's timetable, depending upon who will be responding to that.
We did make that request the Thursday after the plans were submitted Wednesday, and I was told it's underway. So I think the work is underway, but I'm not sure the status.
Maybe Mike or Jerry could weigh in here to give us a more complete picture.
I don't.
Well,
Thank you, Jerry.
as far as, I think we have enough information to close the public hearing. And the fire department could be, their input could be part of a condition, I would think, Mark.
Well, but Attorney Tellerman is saying that we need to give him something in order for him to have an opinion, and they don't have it yet. And I don't know what happened with regard to the particular topic. I assume that it would be done by Jeff Dirk or Christian Smith. You tell me.
I think either is capable of doing it.
Yeah,
it's a computer program.
I thought they both looked at it. I thought they both looked at the alternative crossing the wetland one-way street access, and they both the traffic engineers agreed that was, we had a safe way to do it the first time, and then the alternative B plan is also safer. So by saying that the alternative plan is safer than the original plan, can't we assume that they have turning radiuses? I mean, can't that be, it seems to be a very simple thing to maybe condition, Mark, because we're conditioning that the we're conditioning that the Conservation Commission approves that wetland crossing. So can't that be part of that?
What is the exact product that you're waiting for at the fire department, Mr. Chairman?
They were waiting for architecturally stamped with the AutoCAD turning radius, layout of option B for the road, and that's what the holdup's been, is that he doesn't have that information to review. And if I've misspoken on that, please speak up, Kristen.
All right, I'm going to disappear for a minute. Jerry will hold down the fort while I do.
And I think there's also the concern with regards to having the structure of the roadway being able to accommodate the apparatus the department has. And I think that's a safety issue from the structural component from the fire department. So I think there are these couple of things that they needed some more information on, and I don't think that they have received it yet. And I don't want to speak for anyone else, but that's kind of my take of what I'm getting from conversations.
Right, there was the weight capacity issue with respect to the culvert as well that they were doing. So it wasn't just auto turn.
As I said, I'm going to disappear and I'll be right back.
Okay,
Apologies.
no worries, Mark.
Well, weighing in on the weight capacity, I just finished a wetland crossing with a 36-inch box culvert, and it's always designed to, the capacity is designed for, tractor trailers and tractor trailers or fire equipment or whatever vehicle might pass over that. So, we get those designed by an engineer from Shea Concrete. And a 36-inch box culvert is all designed with rebar, and it's all reinforced. And you could drive the biggest truck that's allowed on a public way to drive over it. So that's just a normal, requirement when you do engineering-wise, when you provide a box culvert underneath a roadway or a driveway. So,
And that's understandable, Jerry, and that's common sense too, but the fire chief wants this information, especially with the weight, so that he does have proper review. He has to have the information to do his review.
So
That's
Jerry,
what
do I understand?
Go ahead, Pete.
Jerry, do I understand that's what you're calling out, is this box culvert as you've designed? Because I don't remember seeing that in the plans, and that might have been my oversight.
Yes, it's a box. It originally was a round culvert that was originally Beals put a round culvert in. However, under DEP guidelines for wetlands crossing, they require a box culvert with no bottom on it, so that apparently it's so that the critters can go through from one side to the other. Which is, so they want a bottom that is not concrete. They want a bottom that is part of the original soil conditions, so that it's more like a stream bottom instead of a concrete bottom, which you would have when you put in a circular culvert.
So are these construction details in the October 8th plans, or will these be in the plans submitted as part of the NOI submittal?
Yes, they actually changed it from the environmental Maureen Herald had that change from a regular culvert to a box culvert, so it would meet DEP guidelines for a stream crossing. So that's already in there.
It's in the plans the planning board
It's in the existing plans right now.
Okay.
So it'll be in the plan that we submit notice of intent for the wetland crossing. That'll be in there.
Okay. So for clarification, it's in the wetlands plan crossing, but it's not in ours yet because we still have the round culvert.
No, it's in yours. They changed it. No, it's revised. In the last set that was revised, it has the box culvert in there.
Okay, I think that's what the chief needs to see, is the
Yes,
most recent revised plans.
That's already in there. We submitted it to the planning board last Wednesday. So the chief should have it because we submitted it to planning board. So I'm guessing that Kristen, did you forward it over to the chief?
Yes, but I'm asking where on the plan set that is shown.
Shows it. It's a note on the plan. It shows a box culvert going underneath the roadway.
Kristen.
But
you
does
want-
it give the weight
can-
capacity? I think that was the question the chief wants.
Well, there's the weight capacity, there's the turning,
Right.
and Kristen, can you share, that plan with the note?
Yeah, good idea, Scott.
No, thank you, Scott.
So this is the, can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the plan set submitted October 8th. The sheet 18A. I'll enlarge it when we get there. So this is the sheet that shows the exit across the wetland. And what I see that you've been referring to, Jerry, is probably right here. 2
Yes.
foot wide by 1 foot high open bottom culvert.
Yes, open bottom culvert. That's so the critters can get through there without having concrete on their toes.
So this is, yes, you know, I reviewed these plans and showed this page with the fire chief today, and he was going back to discuss with his deputy chief and his other colleague who reviews plans. So I can point that out. To Jay's point, it doesn't answer the question of the weight. This plan, which is the next page, is what we asked last Thursday to be redrawn to include that one-way exit road we were just talking about, which comes across here and comes out to Central Court. So this is this was done by your traffic consultant. It includes the original access, turning radius. This is what we're looking for the one-way exit and for Central Court, for the realignment and the intersection with Central Street for the fire trucks. So it's kind of a merging of these 2 pages is what we've requested.
Well, could we ask, could we have to go to the Conservation Commission to get permission across the wetland? And I mean, to revise all the plans to show a wetland crossing when the Conservation Commission could possibly not agree with a wetland crossing seems to be excessive engineering work. Could we make that a condition that once the Conservation Commission approves the wetland crossing, that we will obviously update all the plans to show that one way in and out of the site? I'm just thinking that to, you know, speed up the process a little bit.
Well, I think part of that problem, and I respect what your request is, but I think what part of the problem is the fire chief didn't want to review it without the information. So that's what we've been waiting for, is the fire chief's review, and he's been waiting for the information. So
Yeah, so it's classic chicken and the egg here, right? And the fire department, I think, in my mind, and as a resident and a board member, I think it's appropriate to provide the data really on weight and turning, you know, to the appropriate folks that are going to be, you know, keeping this place safe. And that's the fire chief. So I don't know Jerry, what the cost would be. We certainly don't want, really you or any other applicant to expend, money that, or good money after bad, but is this a large cost to you?
It's not necessarily the cost, it's more a timing issue. So if the board, we're gonna acquiesce to whatever the board, would like to do, obviously. We're not sure that conservation will approve this, so to, add it to all the plans, and then if the Conservation Commission doesn't approve it, then we just did all that work. For naught. So it's more of a timing thing for us.
If I could, Jerry, the option B that we've been talking about is actually the planning board's option A. So our feeling is this is what we would like to see. And then go to conservation. If they say no, that it can't, they'll have it all engineered. They'll be able to take a look at it. They'll see what it's about. Then you could come back to us and say, hey, listen, it doesn't fly with them. But from our perspective,
We lost Pete for a minute there.
where we're coming from. And so that's why we're asking for this.
Well,
And I don't know.
Pete, we lost you about 30 seconds ago. So
It's probably best that you lose me.
I would disagree to that, but I think you were saying at the time we lost you that I guess I lost you.
Okay. So if I can, and if the stars will stay aligned and the satellites will be where they're supposed to be, the option B is actually the planning board's option A. This is what we would like to see from a safety standpoint. We've heard from the traffic consultants that this is not just an acceptable intersection design. It's an ideal intersection design. So our feeling is this thing should be engineered. It should go to conservation as an engineered plan. They can look at it. They can understand where we're coming from, and it's a complete package. If it fails with conservation and they see it all engineered and it fails, then you can come to us and say it failed. But our feeling is this is a safety issue. This is in the best interest of the community, and this is where the planning board would like to go.
I think we've already agreed to that. I'm back, Mr.
Beautiful.
Chairman.
Hey, you're back. I'll be quiet.
So, good news on one front, the AutoCAD has already been done by Vaness, and I think we can get you some paperwork on that quickly, or Joe, some paperwork quickly. And then I asked Christian to phone in to discuss the carrying capacity of the roadway because it got really complicated really fast. He was telling me what's under the road, and he's Kristen, if you can monitor, I gave him the number of the I think it was the New York phone-in number on the agenda. I gave him the 929-205-6099 number.
Yeah, it should show up as someone dialing into the Zoom. I'll double check the number.
Yeah, 1-929-205-6099 US, New York.
Yeah, that's the number I gave him. It looked like the easiest one for him to use for the call-in.
Yeah, no, I just thought I'd pull it up so that you had the right number.
So assuming that he calls in and explains this to your satisfaction, what I'd like to suggest is that we get the AutoCAD information over to the to Joe. I would assume you're going to have Joe look at it.
Well, Joe and the fire chief is the one. that
Okay,
needs it.
fine, but I mean, is there any real need that we have to go out another 30 days to get that done?
I don't believe it would be 30 days, Mark. I think it would, our next meeting is November 5th, correct, Kristen?
Yes, that's what's scheduled.
That gives us 3 weeks, everyone 3 weeks. We'll have review from fire chief. And we will reconvene on the 5th is what I think the wishes of the board are.
It looks like Christian just came in.
Okay, great.
I'm assuming a 603 number. Woody, what does he push to unmute himself?
It's
Stars.
it's either *6 or *9. I'm looking it up right now. Give me 2 seconds.
Oh, there we go. I think we got him. Christian, are you with us?
Yes, Kristen, I am.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So Christian, I've just explained that Vanessa's done the AutoCAD analysis and that we can expect to deliver that shortly, but you wowed me into oblivion by the explanation of the carrying capacity. Could you do better now that you're here?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I mean, as far as the carrying capacity of the roadway, you know, that particular exit drive that is going to cross the wetland is going to have the exact same cross section. In other words, the same level and compaction of bank run gravel, crushed stone, as well as pavement as every other street in town, and certainly the identical cross section of the proposed road for the development. The fact that, you know, we're crossing a wetland, yes, I understand that, but we are also providing at the wetland crossing over the stream channel proper a 3-sided box culvert, which will be set on concrete footings on either side of that crossing. So it's going to have the identical, you know, loading capacity and carrying capacity of the rest of the road in the subdivision. Does that answer your question, Mr. Chairman?
It does. It's I think it's a matter of it's not specified specifically on the plan as such for the fire chief, if I'm correct, if I spoke correctly.
Okay, well that's easily dealt with. I mean, we can explain that to the fire chief, but yeah, even though this is a single, you know, lane access, so to speak, it is going to be constructed just like the rest of the road. And where we are crossing the, you know, the little intermittent stream bed, as I say, that's going to be a clear span bottomless box. So a 3-sided culvert, which the 2 vertical ends that sit on the ground will be seated on concrete footings, as is, you know, typical construction for that type of a crossing. And I can certainly have that conversation with the fire chief tomorrow if he's available.
Do we, Kristen, he needs it on paper. He needs it in writing, right?
Well, it may just be a matter of adding a note to the plan sheet.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And Woody, if I could try to ask a question without breaking up. Hello, Christian. I hope you're doing well.
Yes.
I think I'm doing as well as can be expected, Peter.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So if you could just clarify for me, and this is why I think we need to have the weigh-in of the fire chief on these plans. Your roadways are 20 feet wide. Is that correct?
The one-way accesses are 20 feet wide, correct?
The roadways inside so the roadways within this development, are they 20 feet wide or 22 feet wide?
22 beyond the split.
Okay. So
in other words, where the intersection of the one-way out exit and the one-way in entrance. Beyond that connection, beyond that intersection, they are 22 feet.
Okay. That might have to have, there might be some comment coming back from fire. So I think it's important that we actually have a complete review by fire on these plans as they are now. Our chief was out, our chief is back, our chief met with our planner today and is going to be taken to his department tomorrow. So I think until we have that our review done, I think it's in everyone's best interest to at least keep this discussion open
I get
until our next
All
meeting.
right,
That
all
would
I
be
needed to know was the date.
my
Okay,
recommendation.
Go back now, go back.
Yeah, and I mean, essentially, Mr. Pecos, the the road cross-section, the standard pavement cross-section that we depict on the plans on the detail sheet, you know, specifies the standard town cross-section. And there is not a single linear foot of that road that would not be built with that cross-section. So, you know, I'm happy to have the conversation. We have reviewed this, not with the chief specifically, but with, and I'm not going to remember his name off the top of my head, particularly a few hours out of anesthesia. But anyway, we have reviewed that whole thing. In fact, it was with that gentleman in the fire department who we went through, you know, the hydrant specification and the hydrant spacing and all of that detail as well. And I believe they reviewed the original turning plan from Vanessa prior to contemplating the exit only lane across the wetland. But that's fine. We will certainly follow up with the chief tomorrow, understanding that he is back in the office, and we will do our best to make contact, find out exactly what it is he's looking for, and provide him with that information.
Wonderful, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yes, go ahead, Mark.
It sounds like we can move very quickly to provide 2 pieces of paper to whatever people on your team you think need to look at them, whether it's Joe or the fire chief. We are facing some deadlines of our own here, so that the closure of this and a decision filed with the town clerk really needs to take place with a month that starts with an N, not with a D. That's our deadline. And if we can work that out to make it happen, like shortening the space between the meetings and not waiting for them to look at 2 pieces of paper until November 5th or 6th or whatever you said the next meeting date was, that would help a lot. But we're up against a crunch because Thanksgiving is the 27th, 28th is Friday, 29th is Saturday, and the 30th is Sunday. So that means that, you know, we're already into December if we lost that week. May I suggest that we hunt for a date where the board might just get together? How long is it going to take to receive Joe Sawatka's final report and the chief's blessing? It shouldn't. I'm confident that our people have done the job right.
You'd like for us to meet before November 5th, next.
I'd like you to file your decision with the town clerk before. I'm not. We can work it out any way you want, but I'd like you to file your decision with the town clerk before November 30th. And since the 30th is a Sunday, that really kind of cuts it back a little bit, especially with the holiday week before that.
Yep.
And I'm being completely frank with you. We are up against it here. So.
Well, if we meet November 5th and close the public hearing on November 5th, we would already, Kristen, we would already be, and Jay, if you would too, please, we'd already be working on a decision, correct? In the meantime, between now and the 5th?
I think we can certainly frame it out, and we have an idea of the big ticket items that we have to work in through conditions. Obviously, we're going to need a lot of board input on some of the finer details, but I think I'm pretty confident that we could still get something done that suits the board's needs, provided the board can find the time to deliberate in November. I think you had a November 19th as well. Is that right, Kristen?
Yes. And it's just, I know different towns can handle public hearings differently, but this would be very, if the board keeps the public hearing open, if the hearing stays open, we can certainly start drafting the decision and come to that November 5th meeting with, a draft to begin reviewing, as well as having had the new input once the revised plans are received from Joe, from the fire chief.
So
I think
if,
also assuming that the public, the public record stays open through the 5th, and we do some of our deliberation perhaps then, but then we further deliberate with a full draft on the 19th, and in real time, we could add, subtract, amend provisions in that and get it cleaned up within a day or two afterwards, have Woody sign it and get it filed. I think we could still meet that, assuming that we carve out time on both the 5th and the 19th for the board.
why don't I give you, Jay, in a revised letter, file with the town clerk by the 24th, which is a Monday.
I think that's fine.
All right, so Kristen, supersede the letter that I gave you already with a new letter that I will submit tomorrow, extending the deadline to file with the town clerk by Monday, the 24th of November.
Okay.
And then we can all start cooking on Tuesday.
Mark,
Thank you.
Mark,
Go
thank
ahead.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So with all that said, and thank you, everyone. Unless someone else has something to say, please speak up. I would entertain a motion to continue 34 Central Street, public hearing to November 5th, 7:15 via Zoom.
So moved.
Thank you, Scott. And do I have a second?
Second,
Thank you. Roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Larry,
yes.
Scott,
Yes, yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. And thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jerry. And Christian, thank you for phoning in, and get well.
Thank you all.
We'll see you on the 5th. All right. Moving on the agenda. Next item on the agenda, I believe, is old business. We have a Seagate Open Space Subdivision, 105 High Road. Request to close out final approval of as-built plan and release of performance guarantee funds, assessors map, R48 lot 49. Who do we have? Do we have anyone for this matter? Oh, I see someone now. We have attorney.
Yes,
Matthew
yes,
Gaines?
yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Matthew Gaines for the applicant here, Steve Sawyer is here as well, as is Maggie
And-
DePiero.
welcome,
I think
everyone.
that what's that?
Welcome, everyone.
Oh, thank you. I think the agenda item kind of speaks for itself. Most importantly, obviously, is the release of the remaining performance guarantee funds. I don't have that exact number off the top of my head, because I know obviously it's gone down over time, so I've kind of lost track of how much is remaining, but long story short, the project is complete. Everything is done. If you remember, we were actually before you, I think not that long ago, to get the sign off on the conservation restriction. That's been approved by both the Conservation Commission and the Board of Selectmen. I'm just waiting for signatures to come in my office. But everything is completely done on this project, and we're looking to get out of here, so to speak.
Okay. Kristen, have we had any additional peer review comments?
Yep, as is required, the as-built plan and the engineer's certification letter was transmitted to peer review. So Joe Serwaka Submitted some comments, which I've shared. I have to find them. I was just trying to find the balance on the escrow, but I haven't come up with that yet. There were a couple comments that Joe had. I've shared these with the applicant as well. Let me grab it. The board, let's see, I've received an as-built plan for Seagate condominium prepared by North Point Survey and a copy of the engineering certification letter dated October 9th by Stephen Sawyer, PE. I have conducted a site visit, compared the as-built plans to the approved plans, and offer the following comments. The board may want to receive a letter from the applicant's landscape team stating that the site has been landscaped in conformance with the approved landscape plan. Number 2, copies of stormwater inspection and maintenance forms to date should be submitted for review and records, as would be typical. Number 3, the infiltration basin is overgrown and does not appear to have been mowed as required. The engineer applicant should address this. And number 4, the manhole cover on the valve tank at the primary septic field is not bolted down or cemented in place. This should be addressed. If you have any questions concerning the review, please contact me, Joe Sirwaka.
Steve Sawyer, do you have any comments on that, or?
Excuse me. Yeah. So I didn't actually, on our O&M for the infiltration basin, I was looking through that. It didn't say that it should be mowed, but it's a good idea. I think it was somewhere else in the open space that basin should be mowed. So that does need to be mowed, which I believe Maggie's getting that scheduled to have someone mow it. I think at this point it's and then as far as that the cover, the frame and cover, that can just be grouted in, easily grouted in. The frame and cover is so heavy it's not going anywhere. But there's no reason why it can't be grouted on.
Okay. Does any of the board members have any questions? Mary, Pete, Scott, Steve? Okay. So Kristen, we would like to see these things completed before we close this out.
I mean, that's up to the board. It sounds as though a couple of them are pretty minor and they're saying they're gonna take care of that. The question about the landscape plan, would that be what would it take, I guess, Maggie, Matt, Steve, to provide that as an as-built, a component of the as-built?
I don't, Maggie can speak for the landscaper. I don't know who it is, but I don't, obviously engineers, people like that are obviously in the industry of issuing opinion letters. My experience, landscapers are not. I think that's kind of an odd request for a landscaper to issue an opinion letter that it's been landscaped in conformance with the landscape plan. I don't, we can ask, I guess, if he'll give us one sentence that says, yes, I landscaped in conformance with the landscape plan, if that would really make the town happy.
I mean, in some cases, the as-built plan shows the landscaping, but it sounds like it perhaps didn't in this case.
It wasn't required to show it. That's not typical to show the planting on an as-built plan. Typically, it's grading, utilities, stormwater.
Was there a landscape architect here, Maggie?
Originally, Tom Miner, Steve, you'd probably remember the company, did the planting plan for my dad. I don't know. You tell me, probably 3 years ago at this point.
3 or 4 years, yeah. 3 or 4 years ago.
That would be Tom Miner from Hawk Design down the Cape.
Hawk Design, there it is. Yeah, he didn't actually implement the landscaping. Obviously, I had a different landscape crew actually on the field, but yeah, I don't know when the last time Tom's actually been down.
Yeah, he may have done the landscape design,
Yeah,
you know, for really the application and the ultimate approval.
yeah,
And you know, it's not a terribly large site, so he probably never, just speaking, maybe never made his way up. But it would typically go, and the board should probably think through this moving into the future about the really the relationship of the designers, landscape architect, you know, on future just sign-offs on you know, did they meet the intent of the plan, and you know, do they believe like a letter that we're asking, or I just heard that we were thinking the landscaper could provide. I think a landscape architect in the past, at least in my experience, would be the provider of something like that. And Steve, in your experience, is that right?
Typically, the landscape designer would provide the certifications.
Yeah. So,
It's funny, as far as the affidavits and things like that, when I do large projects, I've never seen, it's funny, I've never seen him ask I've never seen him require the landscaper to provide an affidavit.
okay.
Yeah.
So, what do we want to do here? I guess.
Yeah, I also don't think there's anything in the performance guarantee tied to, you know, a certification on the landscape plan. So, what that's worth.
Yeah, well, I've been down, you know, 2 or 3 times over the past couple of months, and even took a walk back down there. It's you know, it's very nice. You know, some of the landscape or the bushes that I was actually you know, potentially, you know, was going to mention have been replaced. Which is nice to see. It's proactive. So again, not sure what we want to guess.
Yeah, sorry, just one other comment. I just pulled up the original permit from however many years ago when this was permitted, 2021. It does talk about post-construction plans being provided, but again, it doesn't mention a landscape plan. And it says that it would be certified by a professional engineer, who's obviously Steve, and a land surveyor who was North Point Survey. So there's no mention of needing that final landscape plan in the permit.
I was just looking at the bond estimate that outlined the remaining work to be completed. And there was a line item for open space landscaping. There was $3,878 still in that. It said it was 90% complete. I don't know if anyone remembers what the 10% incomplete
Yeah,
was.
that was back in the spring or something. I think we were talking about that. And I know we did complete it because there was a big discussion about like the last certificate of occupancy or something tied to that, and that we did all of that. We cleared that
Yeah.
hurdle.
Yeah, that was for the near the trail, the reclamation area out back, and Tom Hughes is over the moon at how well it's grown in. He said he's never seen anything quite like how well it's grown, so he's really happy with it.
Could you, since some of the items that that Joe mentioned kind of relate to, you know, the mowing, the maintenance of the infrastructure, could you just kind of explain for the benefit of the board what happens after the closeout? Like, who's going to be responsible for those kind of ongoing maintenance things, and how's that going to work?
Yeah, so I can answer that. So right now, Maggie is still the sole kind of trustee of the condo association that's established here. But once this is all kind of closed out, that, you know, as a typical in a condo, the developer will quote unquote transition control to the owners. There'll be a board of condo trustees elected, a 3-member board. And then obviously they will be, you know, from the 10 owners there, they'll elect 3 of them who will be running the show. And the condo association will be in charge for everything going forward, as is typical in a condominium.
That would be the maintenance on the open space as well.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And that's all under the conservation restriction. Yep.
Which money are we holding, Kristen? Did you find that number?
Yeah, I believe, well, so this was in November when we returned a chunk of the performance bond, $26,374, and that has gained a little bit of interest over time, which I don't have that number in front of me.
Okay, still.
What are the wishes of the board on this matter? Do we want to wait on return the funds, or do we want to make a motion to return
Well,
the
I'm
funds
wondering if
with the hopes of this stuff getting done? Go ahead, Larry.
I was thinking, would a motion to release the funds conditioned upon the applicant submitting to the planning department proof of satisfaction of the items specified in Joe Soroka's October 14th letter?
Okay.
If I may, I would only ask that we don't include on that the letter from the landscape plan, because I just don't think that can happen. But I think we'd be more specific, and we've referenced the mowing of the infiltration basin that Maggie agreed to do, and the securing of this manhole cover. I think those are the only 2 items that need to be done.
What about the stormwater inspection and maintenance forms?
Yeah, Steve, what are those available? What's
Yeah,
the
so
title?
that's so as part of the O&M of the stormwater, there's a maintenance program. I believe Ben, I know prior at the end of the, once the roadway was buttoned up and everything was cleaned up, they went through and cleaned all the structures as typical. So we're kind of transitioning from a construction to a post-construction maintenance, which eventually that will be part of the homeowners association. I believe Ben has done inspections basically over the period of the construction, and also beyond that, there was weekly. Maggie spent a lot of money as part of the SWIP, which was part of the erosion controls and stormwater. Tom Hughes did weekly inspections as part of the SWIP program, and he can provide, for 2 years he was inspecting the site weekly, which included the stormwater controls, i.e. the infiltration basin and such. So I think between what Tom has for the SWIP inspections and what Ben probably can, I don't know if he wrote down the inspection report of what he did, but I know that it was done. So he can prepare a report for what was done to hand this over. So we can provide those to the board.
So these documents exist?
Yes.
Okay. And he says it should be submitted for review and records. And I assume he means the record. Not sure who's supposed to review them, him or us, him or the planning board.
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't have a chance to review those materials. I don't know if it's regularly sort of the stormwater permitting authority that, the order of conditions maybe has conditions about submitting those kinds of maintenance and ongoing inspection forms.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through the O&M plan, it does talk about, how all these things need to be inspected, periodically, depending on what it is. I'm not seeing anything that says that, these forms are required to be submitted though. But I'm just kind of quickly skimming right now.
Yes, I don't believe there's any requirement in that it says it's required to be submitted to the board, but
Yeah,
it's just an
so-
ongoing requirement. This is, truthfully, I haven't seen this requirement closing out a project. This is a new one that I've seen for as far as closing up projects.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, I don't see that as part of the permit either, that those be submitted.
Okay, so the underlying things here are the basin being mowed, the manhole being fastened down, whether it's grout or bolted,
Mhm.
and there's one other item, and not including the landscape, and not including what we just discussed, the last thing. we
No,
just-
there was nothing else in Joe's letter.
Okay. Well, let's do this. I would entertain a motion to approve the closeout of Seagate Open Space Subdivision at 105 High Road, and to return to the applicant all funds held in performance guarantee. Excuse me. Excuse me. The performance guarantee account for this project, including interest in the peer review escrow account, after all invoices have been paid. After, what's the word I'm looking for? After the basin, the sediment basin has been mowed and the manhole has been fastened to Joe's satisfaction.
I'll second that.
Okay, so that was your motion. Now I need a second.
Motion, take it as a motion. Yes, second.
All right, I'll second.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
I'll
All right,
throw it.
roll call vote. Pete,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Thank you,
Thank you
Steve.
very much.
Thanks, Maggie.
Thank you.
Steve?
Hi
Good
there.
night.
Go ahead, Maggie.
Quick question, just for my own bookkeeping and who to send what to. Do you want me to send you pictures, or do you want me to, that stormwater basin and the sewer cap when it's put on? Do you want photos? Do you want me to send those to Kristen, or do you need Joe to go back out and re-inspect? How do you want to do that?
Kristen, what would be best?
Sounds like a good idea to send me some photos and I can share them with Joe
Okay,
by email.
all right. Okay, that sounds good. Just want to check.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, and thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Gaines.
you.
thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Steve.
Good night.
Have a great night.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Yep, have a good night. We did meeting minutes, and the last thing on the agenda is liaison reports and meeting reports. We have ZBA, Larry.
Yeah, I don't have anything to report tonight, Woody, from my last report. The ZBA's regular meeting was actually scheduled for tomorrow night, but a couple of the members had scheduling conflicts, so it's going to be renoticed for a different date. I'm not sure when just yet.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Conservation Commission, we met last week. The only thing on the agenda that pertained to us was 34 Central Street, and they asked for a continuance, so I'm sure they'll be on our next agenda. MVPC, Kristen or Sadie?
We haven't met. The MVPC commissioners meeting is tomorrow. And I updated the board on the planners meeting at our last meeting, so no news.
Okay, so we'll hear a report on that meeting tomorrow, at our next meeting.
Yep.
I have nothing else on the agenda. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn unless anyone has anything to say.
Move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Very good. Larry, Scott. Roll call vote. Pete,
Yes.
Larry, Steve,
Yes.
Scott, and I vote yes as well. Everyone have a good night. And
Thank you,
see
everyone.
Thank you.
November.
Take care.
Thank you.